Banks are now collapsing. And did you know that less than 1% of all the deposits in the United States are insured? That means over 99% of the money that has been deposited into these banks is not even FDIC insured. That is how crucial this is. And this is why I'm bringing this to your attention today, because so many people feel their money's in the bank, it's perfectly safe. And that's not entirely true. Now, today, I want to explain why some of these banks are failing, and even why the Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell said it himself that there will be bank failures. I want to explain what's going on here, what you can do, and what I am doing to protect my money. So, make sure you stick around and watch this entire video, and I'll explain exactly what is going on. But all I ask is one thing. It takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now, let's begin. So I wish I could tell you that your money is perfectly safe. However, it's not. The problem right now is that you think this is king, that this is going to last forever. But the problem is it will not. Look at this. This is what Jerome Powell had to say. He says there will be bank failures. Now, he goes on to say right here, we have identified the banks that have high commercial real estate concentrations, particularly office and retail and other property types that have been affected a lot. This is the problem that we'll be working on for years more, I'm sure. There will be bank failures, but not the big banks. How many of you have all your money in JP Morgan? How many have all your money in Wells Fargo? Or how many of you are putting your money in the little XYZ bank down at the corner? That's the problem. Okay, that's the big problem. It's not the big banks. It's the smaller regional banks. Those are the ones that are going to collapse. And the reason why I'm bringing this to your attention is because everybody said, take your money out of the big banks. Don't put your money in the big banks because they'll screw you. They're not giving you any interest. Go take it to the small banks because they're going to give you double the amount of interest. You know what? So this is your $100 bill. Guess what? You are going to get about a 1%. Okay? Let's just call it 1%. Now, the thing is, the big banks, they're going to give you a little bit less than that. Right? You're not going to see much from them. But, and this is why I bring this to your attention, everybody's putting their money into small banks because that's where it's safe. Because those banks aren't going to go under. The truth is, those are the banks that are going to go under. And I want to play this for you, okay? Again, look at this. It says Powell warns commercial real estate woes will lead to bank failures. This is a problem that we'll be working on for years, okay? I want to reiterate that. This is not something that's going to go away in the matter of weeks or months. We will be dealing with this for years. Now, listen to what Jerome Powell actually had to say. And this was back, I believe, in early March, okay? Listen to this right here because, again, this gives us an idea of kind of why these banks are failing. Look at this.
We have a secular change in people working from home. This is one big part of it. That means that in many cities, the downtown office district is very underpopulated. There are empty buildings in many major and minor cities. It also means that all the retail that was there to service the thousands and thousands of people who work in those buildings, they're under pressure too. And banks will have made loans to many of those buildings. Not all of them, but many.
Now, he says even the retail that was in those in the downtown office areas that were there to service the office workers, well, they're struggling too. I have a friend that actually had a barber shop or hair salon. I don't know what he called it, but it was actually in downtown Seattle. That went under. He couldn't keep it going anymore because everybody left. I have another friend who had a little donut shop or a pastry shop, or again, I don't know what you call it, but he had a little thing like that in Oregon, in Portland. Well, he was pretty much run out of the city because, number one, there was so much theft that alone cut into his profits. And then number two is all the office workers that were working there initially before the pandemic, they left. They started working from home, or some of those companies completely moved, again, because of theft. So these banks that are holding these, okay, the commercial real estate here, the problem is nobody's gonna refinance on these loans, because why would they? Interest rates are higher than what they were previously. Number two, the buildings are sitting vacant. Look at this. I want to show you this because, again, this just came out today, or just the other day. It says office vacancy rates nears 20% to set fresh record, according to Moody's. Now, here's the problem. So many different businesses are not bringing people into the office. Why would they? During the pandemic, one of the things I said is that, or pretty much the beginning of the pandemic, I stated that you need to learn a new skill, because if you are not keeping up with what the economy is doing, with the way jobs are going, you will be cut out. That's exactly what's happening here. So many different businesses are realizing they don't need a huge office space. They just don't need it. They don't need 100 different workers doing one task. And now with artificial intelligence, they are realizing that they can cut their 100-person staff down to potentially 15 to 20, because now they can do more. Now, here's one thing I just want to tell you though. With all these different banks potentially collapsing, again, a lot of people have their money in the smaller banks. The concern right now is, what do we do? Well, here's what I can tell you. First off, if you have money in a bank and it is FDIC insured, FDIC insurance only covers up to $250,000. However, in the previous, and this happened last year, okay, when Silicon Valley Bank was collapsing, is Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen came out and said that they are going to back every single deposit, 100% deposits. Now, remember in the beginning of this video, I said that less than 1% of all deposits in the United States are insured. Here's the reason why. Currently, there's about $121.8 billion, okay, in the FDIC Insurance Fund. That is as of Q4 of 2023. Okay, so a few months ago. So $121.8 billion. However, there's $18.55 trillion in U.S. deposits here in the United States. So less than 1%, I think it's 0.6%, okay? 0.6% of all deposits are insured. That is crucial to know, because if the Treasury Secretary comes out and says, we are going to insure 100% deposits, we cannot do that. The United States does not have the ability to do that. That is the concern. Now, what am I doing? Okay. Well, I've said this before. I have money in several banks. I do not just have one bank account. I have multiple bank accounts in certain branches. Okay. I have obviously savings account, have investment account, checking accounts, whatever. I also have a lot of different accounts online. Okay, online bank accounts. One of the ones that I use, to just kind of keep money in. I trade on a daily basis. This is something I love to do. I use something called Webull. Okay, that's this right here. Now, this is not a bank. This is a trading platform that you can go invest in ETFs. You can invest in stocks, real estate, funds, right? REITs. You can do so many different things, right? You can buy, gold, things like that. Now, if you want to go and check this out, I'll put a link to it down in the description box below, so you can go and check it out. I absolutely love this one. This is one of my favorite ones. But again, this is what I use. Now, with that said, do not put more than $250,000 into a bank account. Doesn't matter if it's a credit union, if it's a Chase Bank, if it's could have been Silicon Valley Bank, for all I care. Doesn't matter. Do not put more than $250,000 into that bank. Diversify your money. Spread it out so that if one bank were to collapse, and again, and I just bring this up because it happened, that when the Silicon Valley banking collapse was happening, the concern was, how do people get their money out of that so that they can go and pay their bills for that weekend? Because I believe it happened on a Friday. Well, here was the concern. And I actually had a friend who his mother-in-law, father-in-law, something, had money in that bank. Well, they weren't able to access that money for a few days. I think it was like 4 days. But they needed that money that day. Okay, they needed the money that day in order to make a payment of some kind. Couldn't get it. Could not get access to that money. So in this case, as banks are collapsing, and we expect they're going to start collapsing very soon, because based off of reports, there is almost $1.5 trillion of commercial real estate that will be due for repayment by 2025. So keep in mind, that's coming up. And you know what's going on right now? Well, look at this. Somebody sent me this just the other day. Thought this was interesting. It says in 2005, this downtown office tower sold for $121.7 million. It just sold for $78 million. This is in Boston. Now, why would that happen? They're trying to liquidate some of their, not really assets anymore, okay, their liabilities, get rid of them, and free up some cash because they understand what is coming. Now, I don't know what's going to happen over the next 3 to 6 months, but based off of what Wall Street's saying, these collapses are going to happen within the next year to 18 months. So be ready for that and be prepared, because again, we have no clue what's really going to happen. Now, that's what we know as of today. Again, as always, as soon as I know more, I promise I'll come back on and share all the latest news and updates. But as of today, that is what we know. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing. And I'll see you guys on the next one.